The first thing you do is just click on that first data point, then you go to Insert, you go to Scatter, and then you want to choose the graph that has scatter with straight lines and markers. Move the chart, and you can name it, and it'll put it on a new sheet. Once you do this, it'll populate the graph, and first you can get rid of those grid lines. Just click on them and hit the delete button. After that, you'll want to connect your data points, so you can just right-click, select data, and then connect data points with lines, and then you'll see that it connects them. So here you can see they're all different colors, and it's not exactly APA format, so we'll go through that. In chart design, you can go to add chart element, and then you can format your axis. So here I'm just changing my maximum bound to 20 because my last data point is at 20. That way I just don't have that extra space. The next thing that I'm adding is tick marks, and you want them to be major type and on the outside. After you've added the tick marks, you want to continue to format your x-axis. So you can go back to Home, New York Times Roman, font size 12, and make sure that the text is a black color because Excel will automatically make it gray. You will also want to make sure that your line is black, so you can go to the line and then from gray change it to black, and this is within the format axis option when you double click on it. Okay, so now that you've done your x-axis, move on to your y-axis and do the same formatting. Change your numbers, the line color, and add the tick marks, and make sure that it's all in black. Once you've finished formatting your X and Y axis, you can add your axis labels. So you do that by going to Chart Design, Add Chart Element. Under Axis Title, you do horizontal and vertical. You can go through them individually. Type in whatever your labels are. Make sure that you highlight them and also change this font. So again, Times Roman 12, and make sure that it's black because it will be gray. And then just repeat for your other axis. Once you're done labeling, you can move on to editing your data points. So all the lines should be white, black, or grayscale. So double click on the line, and you can tell because it's selected, and then you can change the marker. I like to make mine a size 6 just so it's a little bit bigger. The fill, you want to change it to black. The border, also black, and then the line itself, you want to make sure that that's black. And then you can do that for each of your points. My next one is already gray, so I'll do the orange one and change that to some shade of gray. Okay, so now that I finished those, I'll just move on to my last data path. This one's yellow, so I'll do the same thing. I'll choose some shade of gray. Make sure that my marker, the fill, and the border, and the line itself are all the same color. Okay, so now I'll just fix the title. Again, I'll do the same format, 12 font Times New Roman, and make sure that it's black. Once you're done formatting your title, the next thing that I will do is add in my phase lines. So an easier way to tell where your phase line should go exactly is to make sure that your axis just goes up by ones rather than by twos. So right now I'm just changing that. And so here you can see the change, and now I'm better able to identify exactly where I want my lines to go. You can do the same for your y-axis, just make it by one so that it's even all around. Okay, so my graph is taking up a big chunk of that space, so I'm just making it a little bit smaller so I can fit in my labels and my lines. Okay, so I need a phase line at about 3.5 and 11.5. So I will go back to my original datasheet, merge and center those lines, type in phase line. I'll identify my X and my Y. Again, it was 3.5 and 11.5. So that's where I want my data points to be. So I want these lines to stretch from the bottom to the top, which means that my y-axis must be 0. And my highest point was 11. So I'll make sure that I put in 11. My next points are going to be between 11 and 12. So I'll have 11.5 for my X. And then 0 for my Y. And then again, 11 will be my highest point. So I'll do 11.5 and 11. I'm just formatting this so that it sits exactly between the 3 and the 4. So now go back to your chart, right click, select data. Then you want to add one of those legend series, type in phase line because that's what you're making. So for the X value, you want to highlight just the numbers that will be going within your x-axis that you have labeled. So just the x-axis. Click back and then go to your y value. Select just your y, click that little box again, it'll bring the data back. Your data points are connecting and okay. So now this line should not connect. So just click it until only one of those points is highlighted. No line within the paint container there will get rid of that line. Double click and then you can start formatting your line. So you can make it black and you don't need a marker for these. So just do marker option, none, and that'll get rid of it. And you can do this for the top and the bottom marker and then just repeat for the next line. In adding the phase line, it also added that to your legend. So you can just click on it and delete and it'll get rid of it. Alright, so the last step is going to be adding phase labels. So you can go to Insert, Text, Text Box, and just put it right in on your phase condition. Again, Times New Roman 12 in black font. And because they will already be formatted, you can copy and paste this text box for the next two conditions as well. Another thing to keep in mind is you should have your phase condition labels outside of your graph, just in case you do have a point that's larger than 11, just so that it doesn't interfere. So for mine, I had baseline. I had 2 treatments. I was comparing them. You can see one is better than the other. And then the best treatment was my last condition. So I'll specify that within my label. Alright, so that's basically it. This was an alternating treatment design graph with a treatment comparison and then the best treatment selection at the end. I did get picky at the end here and change my maximum bound for my y-axis. Again, whatever you choose for your graph, just format it however you feel appropriate.